Now we're going to start designing and building the body itself. So currently we've got a sketch of the block and we've got a sketch of the body rigs, and in exactly the same surface we're going to create another sketch which is going to be the body itself. Now the design of this thing, the body, is entirely up to you. Please don't copy mine, but things that you do have to be mindful of is the cylinder housing has to be included, the body around the axles has to be included, and there has to be at least 8mm of thickness through this part of the car to allow for vertical cargo. The nose also has to be at least inside of these two lines here. Now in my design, because my front wheel already comes through this space here, be mindful that I have to include a front wing and like 3mm of airspace behind it. My front wing is going to be right at the front of this block. So I'm not going to be worried at all about meeting the minimum length requirements. Alright. So I'm going to start off by drawing the very back of my car, and I'm going to make this 13 up at the back and another one 13mm down. Now I'm going to keep the bottom of my car pretty flat. I'm going to be mindful that I still want a bit of a slot at the bottom, so I'm going to keep some of that slot down here. I'm going to hit this part pretty straight, and click and drag, create a tangent arc up to here. Okay, so I'm going to keep the bottom of my car pretty flat. Because all these are blue unconstrained lines, we can also manually pick them up and drag them around. So that'll be the bottom of my car. I might even be able to drop that vertical cargo right down. And I'm going to use the spline tool to create the top of my car because I like the sort of that really organic sort of form. Obviously, when I'm building the top of my car, I know that it can't come downwards because that's going to cut through that cylinder housing. So I can either go straight or I can go up. I might come down here-ish and create another point here, another point here. Now the cool thing about the spline tool is that you can modify it once you create it, so it might not be exactly the right form that you want to start with. Hit OK a couple of times. But you can modify the shape after you've created it. So you can grab the handles and drag them around, in or out, or you can grab the actual points themselves and move them around. You can also create extra points, so I might want to insert a spline point over here, which will allow me to pick up different parts of the car. You can also delete ones out as well, of course. I might bring that down a little bit. Okay, so there's the shape of my car. I can now hit finish sketch. So I need to make sure that it's that light blue colour, so all the lines are joined together. It might be worth just hiding the two sketches below, just to make sure you've got what we call a closed loop. So if I forgot to put this line in, this little sketch is now no longer closed. So you can see as soon as it's closed loop, it goes light blue on the inside and allows me to turn it into a 3D shape. So I can finish the sketch. And it's always good practice when you're going to do an extrusion, just move to a bit of a 3/4 view, so a corner view, just so you can see see what you're doing a bit better. Alright, so now I'm going to extrude this body, and it is worthwhile hiding your block sketch and your body rig sketch for this step, because when I go to extrude, it doesn't know what part of what sketch I want to extrude. It might think that I want to extrude the cylinder housing itself. So it's always kind of handy just to hide those out so that you don't get confused. It doesn't get confused, and you can select the thing that you want to extrude. All right. So when we're extruding this thing, I still want the origin to be at the center of that cylinder housing, so I want to make sure that we're extruding symmetrical. So it goes and extrudes in both ways. And also want to enter in a value, a distance, that is going to be the whole length rather than just half the length. So distance, whole length. Now, as we know from the back, the cylinder housing is 19 mil. It needs to have 3 mil on both sides. So the minimum extrusion is 25 millimeters. Because I've made the height at the back 26, I'm going to make this 26 as well. Okay. So that is the first step. That's what my body shape's going to look like. You might choose at this step to add maybe some fillets if you want more of an organic sort of shape cut. You might leave this for later on, depending on what you're planning on doing with your side pods and that sort of stuff. But you could apply a couple of fillets on either side now, and I guess the most it will probably let me do will be about 13. Not going to let me do 13. 12. 11. Cool. Alright, so not the prettiest car in the world, but in the next video I will show you how to do the next step, which will be creating our side pods.